So I was taking a look around my studio today and I realized that I have done quite a few paintings this year. So with this video, I just want to take a look at a few of the highlights and give you some personal insight into them. First up, I have one that is 100% custom pixel art, and that is of Leatherface. I'm planning to do an entire series of custom pixel art horror paintings because I am a huge horror buff, and the first one that I had to do was Leatherface. I absolutely love the original 1974 Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Like, it doesn't rely on jump scares, it doesn't rely on gore, it just puts you in that feeling of just extreme helplessness. Everything about that movie is just atmosphere, and it's perfect. It's an absolutely amazing movie. So with this one, I wanted to do a portrait of Leatherface in kind of a murky, rust, blood kind of look, but make it look like it would be done in the 80s if Nintendo had done a game based on the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. You know, like that would have gotten past the censors back then. So yes, this is the first one of the series. I'm super excited about this one. A lot more to come. Next up, we have a classic, Mega Man, and this one is from the end of Mega Man 5. I did this one kind of as a personal celebration for myself. I'm a huge fan of the Mega Man games. Mega Man 5 was always the one that I simply could not beat. It was those damn bosses. Once you got to Proto Man's castle, I could never get those patterns down and they would just kick my ass. They were so weird. So I sat down recently, I persevered, I pushed through, and I fucking beat Mega Man 5. So I did this one as a personal celebration for it, right at the end when you're chasing down Dr. Wily in his lab. So with this one, I took the background of the big metal green squares back here and condensed them down so they'll fit on the 1114 canvas. I also simplified the floor just to be a gray and a black and white kind of look, just so it wouldn't detract from the whole overall look of Mega Man chasing down Wily with the little things of sweat coming off of him. Like, yeah, he's actually going to get away from Mega Man this time, the 5th time that Mega Man has kicked his ass. Next one is another in-game screenshot, and that's from one of my favorite brawlers, River City Ransom. Again, everything is condensed down. If I really did this true to the game, the Crosstown High sign would have been way up here somewhere, and the ground is a lot more complicated, so I knocked back all of like the patterns and whatnot that was going on here. And I always like making these in-game shots just kind of a bit more of what actually goes on in the game. So everything is, again, condensed down. You have Ryan kicking one gang member in the face and Alex punching another gang member, and you never see two different gangs on the screen. It's always the same shirt color of said gang before you move on to the next one. So I like just taking elements from a game and really taking as much as I can and putting it into a little canvas just like this to make it just, you know, like as dynamic as possible. And the next one, we have another in-game shot from DuckTales. DuckTales, I'm sure, is one of your favorites as well as mine. It's one of the greatest platformers ever. And I realized that I had never done a painting from the moon level. And I couldn't believe that. The fucking moon level. It has like the most iconic music ever. It's probably, I don't know, one of my favorite levels, that in Transylvania. I absolutely love those two. So with this one, again, condensing stuff down. The height of this crater here I had to move down so Scrooge would have enough room so he could just sit on the canvas nicely with a little bit of space up here and a little bit of space underneath for when he's doing his little pogo jump. And then also give enough room for the robot coming in on the right, enough room for his little rocket deal and then for his punch. And also give enough space so these characters don't feel like they're competing with one another. One huge thing that I always try to do, there was one piece that I did recently where I didn't do that, and that is change the color of Scrooge's jacket. It always drove me crazy that the color of his jacket was red and it was blue in the cartoon. So I've always done that. Unless it's a commission and somebody specifically wants it to be red, I will always change it. I did one before that was in the jungle level in the Amazon, and I kept his jacket red because I think it worked better with the palette. But any other time, always go with the blue. Keep it that special blue that we have in our hearts. Next one is a bigger one that I've wanted to do for a long time and touch on this franchise, and that is Pokemon. Hopefully you guys can see the whole thing in the frame. This one is 2 feet long, so it's just a bit bigger than the others. So I went back and forth on what I wanted to do from Pokemon, and I'm like, alright, let me just do something that everybody knows, a battle sequence. So let me do something with Ash and Gary just fighting one another. Now, originally what I wanted to do was just do the straight up kind of murky green color of the Game Boy and have just a bland background just to make it really look like a Game Boy. screenshot. But I didn't like that. I thought that it just looked really empty and really bland. So I just kept changing things around. I decided to go with the color scheme of Ash and Gary from the cartoon while also keeping the look of their sprites. So Ash, he has his blue and white jacket and his signature red cap. And I also actually had to look for screenshots through the cartoons to find out exactly what color his backpack was, and even like the little clasp on there to see what color it was, to see that it was yellow. Now with Gary, I kept his original design of him wearing a jacket, but recolored it to be his, jeans and brown boots and kind of purpley jacket that he wore in the cartoon, and applied that to this one. Also, one other huge thing that I changed, I'll put a screenshot up here just to show you for an example. The Pokeball that he's carrying looks like this oval mush. It doesn't really look like anything at all when you blew it up. So I just took one of the 6 Pokeballs down here from the 6 and just put it into his hand just to make it look so much nicer. And then also, I didn't know what the hell to do with the background too. I was going to use like maybe a forest background, and there were so many different things that I did, and it kind of detracted from the image, or it made it feel like something else. It didn't feel like a battle sequence. So I decided to go with just vertical lines, kind of like that anime feel of that fast-moving anime background when there's a battle sequence of 2 different characters coming in. So that's what I went with, and I think it really holds the piece together. So those are all the ones that I wanted to share, but I'm sure you guys would like to see one in progress. I'm sure you would. You would, right? You do? Here it is. Boom! Xenomorph Face. I am clearly really excited about this one. I've had this sitting on my wall for a while, and it's just been staring at me really creepily, wanting to get done. Now, this one is a sprite from the end of the continue screen from the brawler game Alien vs. Predator, which, side note, is one of the best, if not the best, arcade brawler from the whole late 80s, 90s, just golden age of brawlers that there was. So originally I was going to do this whole thing with the Xenomorph, arms out, and this would have been honestly 4 feet if I did it, and I had this whole background where he was going to be standing in a hive, or either like a military complex, kind of like, something you would have seen out of the movie Aliens. Instead, it's like, you know what, I just want to go with something simpler, not have the background compete with the main image of everything that we want to see, the fucking alien. So I went through, I recolored the whole image for the source material that I'm using. There was about 12 levels of color. I believe there's about 5 to 6 in this one. Redrew his mouth, made sure that it's going to look really, really gross with like saliva and all sorts of nastiness dripping down. I just wanted to capture that whole essence of this. I would put this with my horror series, but I want to keep those to be 100% like my own pixel art. And like I said, this is from the brawler game. So hopefully this one will be done soon. I have another convention coming up at the end of May, and I'm aiming for it to be done for that. So maybe a week or 2 before that, you'll see this one finished. So thank you so much for watching, guys. I really, really appreciate it. Please like, comment, subscribe. I have a lot more stuff on the way, so I will see you soon. Bye-bye.